Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. A very warm welcome, a good evening to everyone. Before we start the session, I just would like to highlight that, the topic for today is careers in defense forces, that is in Army, Navy, Air Force. And before that, I would just like to tell you that we would start with the video of AMP followed by Khirit by one of our students, and then we would be welcoming our guest speaker. So, shall we start with the video? AMP stands for Association of Muslim Professionals. Now, we'll just talk about the AMP flagship projects. The first one, okay, about the Employment Assistance Cell, Employability Training Program. Then we have about Zakat Fund, and followed with AMP Power Jobs, where we try to, give comfortable positions, then skill training program, and, you could visit india.com. Among the AMP flagship projects, there is a very huge amount of national talent search that the whole team, works behind it. Then there is the indiamentors.com, where you could go through, and then, we have all the seniors, experienced personalities. They could, always guide and mentor. And lot of seminars and web seminars has been conducted, in past. So you could go through that also. We have web talks and webinars. And then, of course, it can be checked on your, special programs that we run, school development program, where very intense, skills on intense talks are done through school, development program and followed with internship. The AMP flagship, projects, it highlights on higher education, guiding the students on scholarship because various scholars are not aware of it. So, the AMP helps them. And education with excellent awards, they do award, depending on the grades. And then, of course, there is also followed with education guidance and, followed with excellence awards through non-governmental, that is, NGOs. And somehow the NGOs are connected, and then, indirectly all the professors, as I mentioned in the earlier slides, well, experienced faculties, professionals, they try to connect, and then, they have a lot of fairs, and, in the campus they try to guide and mentor the, students. See, there's a very long list, and the tremendous efforts by AMP, regarding the achievements. You could go through that, employment assistance cell so far, what they have done, 30,000 plus, and, the candidates employed, that is a ratio, the data available in front of your screen. And there's a long list of, jobs where 61,000 candidates were registered, and, they had open vacancies. So those are the, big numbers regarding the national talent. Also, you have in lakhs. Okay. And overall, the students who do have registered, overall in India, and then, in the districts also, they have bifurcated and, registered through different links through apps as well. So, this is a very transparent information that you could see through the, AMP app. And then students who have been registered, just to take the advantage, pre-click counseling, so far 56,000 students. That's a very, great efforts by AMP. They're trying to do, guiding on scholarship and then employment training. Even if they need some financial assistance or guidance, they're always ready there. And, mentoring now and then with young professionals is, 109. And then senior industry professional, you have, around 3,300 plus. So, there's a lot of people joining and, giving a helping hand for this good cause. And then you could see in the achievement excellence in, awarding, like AMP has, honored 400 plus influential educators, and then even including the institutions at different levels. And then you have awards for NGOs in social excellence, 2000, 300 and plus, where NGOs were nominated, and then organizations also has been honored. Those who are striving for this beneficial cause. And higher education scholarship also, almost those students who were in need of it, that also has been numbered over here, 100 plus. And for school development program, the students who have been benefited through this development lectures and all are 2.8 one above lakh. So this is really huge number students who got the career guidance through seminars, 30,000 plus. So it's a very great achievement, a great work being done by AMP that you could see on your screens. And coming to the internship program, the in the year, if you give the data, in 2001 alone, there were 700 plus, and the volunteering for indiazakat.com, it is 100 plus, and the funds that raised or fundraising for this humanity, or for this career guidance cause is around 4.5 cr. And students, so of course always students who need support, it was around one, you can say 1700. And then for some self employment, or to be independent, it was above 1000. And for category those who had no parents, orphans, giving them basic education, it was 1500 plus. Okay, so the total amount, being very transparent, that has been displayed, what was the, from India zakat.com, the amount received. Okay, it is displayed. This is very, what do you say, encouraging, adopt an orphan campaign. This is something, very touching, and, that highlights the humanitarian, humanity, not only in the organization, but I think every individual should have this. So 41 orphans were adopted, and see the marvelous work done by AMP, joint project by USA, of course, through the funding raised from India zakat.com. And then they were providing orphans with all means, whatever the sustenance they were supposed to get, or required. So these money was being utilized on them. And then from those people or attendees, globally, and then we had you know I mean to say, welcome them. So they were people who attended the seminars or conferences, and very renowned speakers, 30 plus, across the globe. Even they had taken part in this. And the last, we had one more, not only for orphans, for the needy, but even for the poor, providing food, where they could get the basic needs. So that was a ration kits. And certain, during the time of COVID, when this pandemic distress, everyone had financial issues. So there's a time AMP had done this campaign also, Feed the Poor. And then O2 for All campaign was, in level of not only for food, water, but even to, to sustain, I think. There's a very beautiful step taken by, Oxygen campaign. So providing ration, providing food, and then, providing oxygen cylinders to the needy to survive, to breathe. So that this is all the, things, the programs that movements, where AMP have taken, very nice and strong steps. And then we have, if you're trying to show that, where we have reached so far on ground presence, currently it shows that AMP has, more than 140 plus, active, and in 26 states with 20 countries, and active members talking about 6,000. It's a huge membership. And definitely, I would, suggest those who are watching this program also to be a member of AMP. And then online presence is, of course, is 1,25,000 plus. Okay, where members and different professionals are connected for this, good cause. And then supporting AMP, you can always extend support, by volunteering yourself, or being, by giving little time, voluntary, or being a partner, joining hands with conducting various activities, realizing our vision. So that's a, a partner, or you could sponsor one of the activities being taken up by the AMP. Okay, and for all these things, of course, we need donors, and with donation, with funds, we could achieve by supporting the community. Okay, so I hope you have got an idea about AMP. Now, I think it's time to welcome our guest speaker. And today's a very interesting, for the young boy, especially for, of course, for girls, I should say also, but, curious in different forces, usually very attractive for boys. And speaking of his Brigadier Nyamathullah Shabeer Ahmed, retired, and he is from Triple E 1980 batch from College of Engineering. And it's really good to know that he served 33 years in the Indian Army, and including 9 years in Jammu and Kashmir. And it is very, honored to welcome him and to say that the distinction of serving with the United Nations as a military observer in Liberia, then, it is in Africa. And also he headed the defense wing as the defense advisor of India to Malaysia and Brunei, stationed in, of course, Malaysia. So it's the time to welcome and Brigadier Sahab. And I hope, it will be very inspiring session to all the young ones. Over to you.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for the kind words. Basically, I would like to just cover on the career in the Indian Armed Forces. That's the topic given to me to speak about. And just before that, I want to share that I have been in the Indian Army for 33 years, immediately after completing my engineering from College of Engineering, Guindy in 1980. I continued to serve till 2012, and I hung up my uniform in the year 2012. I'm blessed with a daughter who's a PhD in environmental engineering. She is presently in Denmark, and a son who has done his BE MBA. He's presently in Canada. That's a nutshell about myself. Let's go back to the topic now. Can I share the screen of the presentation? To give a nutshell, the Indian Armed Forces, basically, we have the main three wings, that is the Indian Army, the Indian Air Force, the Indian Navy, and supported ably by the Coast Guard, as well as the other paramilitary forces like the BSF, the Assam Rifles, and whatnot. Now, we'll just concentrate basically on the first three, that is the Indian Army, the Indian Navy, and the Indian Air Force. I'll cover this topic given time within the time, that what are the different forces, what motivates the young generation to join the armed forces as officers. I will not go into the soldiers' rank presently. Let's at least motivate our Muslim brothers to join the officers' cadre more. Then the type of entries in the Indian Armed Forces. And the lastly, the question and answer session. Like the name itself says, the Army, the Air Force, and the Navy have different, which covers the ground forces, the Army, the naval forces covering the ocean lines, as well as the air is taken care of by the Air Force. Just to quote, this is one of the, we lead by example, live by chance, love by choice, and kill by process. Profession, not process, profession. The Army has got, there are two types of, within the Army, we have two different categories. One is the fighting arm, along with that is the supporting arm. And the other one is the services. The fighting arms are basically the Armored Corps, the Regiment of Artillery, the Army Air Defense, the Army Aviation Corps, Mechanized Infantry, ably supported by the Corps of Engineers and the Corps of Signals. The services basically are the Army Service Corps, the Medical Corps, the Dental Corps, Ordnance Corps, Corps of EME, Renowned Veterinary Corps, Army Education Corps, Corps of Military Police, Pioneer Corps, which is fading away slowly, Army Postal Service, Territorial Army, and the Defense Security Corps. The Armored Corps are the one, if you have seen, I hope the boys who are listening will be able to understand English, or I have to speak in any other language. The Armored Corps, if you have seen the tanks, basically the fighting elements, they fight The tanks, they fight in the deserts and the plain areas and the riverine areas. They are called the armored corps, and they are the one which go into the battle even ahead of the infantry times. उसके बाद आता है the artillery. Artillery is the one which we have the gun, the long range gun, the short range guns, light guns, which we can fire at the enemy from our own area, covering a distance starting from 8 kilometers, going up to almost around 35 to 40 kilometers inside the enemy area. Now we also do have missiles along with that, which can cover anywhere between 5 kilometers going up to 5,000 kilometers. And the last war that we fought in 1999, the Kargil War, was won by, generally we should give credit to the artillery. The infantry, obviously, they went and captured the mountains, but it's the artillery which created the maximum damage on the enemy. The air defense is whenever enemy aircrafts or enter into our territory, we try and shoot them down using the air defense, in which we have missiles, the rockets, which we can use it against the enemy air force and their missiles. Also, they have the army attack helicopters. They do have attack helicopters, and also the transport helicopters, which carry troops. Now, coming to Corps of Engineers, they're basically the one who construct bridges across, construct buildings, bridges, laying of mines, clearing of mines, and whatnot. The Corps of Signals, in which I served, they are the communicators and the electronic warfare and the cyber warfare people of the army. They communicate all type of terrains, in every type of terrain, and also the electronic warfare to nullify the enemy communications, jam them, and also the cyber warfare where we can play around with the enemy communications and intrude into the network, protect our own networks. Mechanized infantry is part of the infantry, which was earlier the part of the infantry. Now it's become a separate arm by itself, in which they travel by vehicles instead of walking or covering the area by foot. They travel by vehicles in small columns, but the vehicles go in the formation, which they can go deep into enemy territory, ably supported by the armored corps and the artillery. He is the ultimate man who goes across, now women also. They go across to the enemy territory, capture the enemy territory, one, defend the own motherland from enemy coming across. Corps of Electrical and Mechanical Engineers, they are the one who repair, maintain all type of equipments and weaponaries which are there in the Indian Army. Now coming back, I'm not covering the services. Services have their own, like if you take Army Service Corps, they supply all types of supplies that is required for the army, including rations, oil, everything is supplied by the Indian Service in the Army Service Corps. Army Ordnance Corps supplies all type of weaponry, whatever requirement, ammunition, clothing, everything is given by the Army Ordnance Corps. Then the Army Medical Corps and Dental Corps take care of the medical and the dental part. Then you have the Army Postal Corps, then the Army Military Police, which is equivalent to our civil police, which does the military police activities within the armed forces. And Territorial Army wants to protect establishment. We do have some people who are on retirement join the Territorial Army. So that's what the nutshell about the services. And now I'll come to the Indian Air Force. Indian Air Force has in India, which is supposed to be the fourth largest in the world. And, it's got various branches, which is flying, technical, engineering, ground, logistic, administration, accounts, education, medical, same, like meteorological. In the flying, we have the fighter jets, the helicopters, and the transport aircrafts, along with also with the missiles, which are the long-range missiles, are all kept with the Air Force. So in the fly, we have various types of aircrafts within the Army, within the Indian Air Force, which starts from the mix to the latest Rafales. So I don't want to go into the details of it. These are basically the fighter aircraft which can fly at higher, max speeds, much more than the speed level of the sound. So you have, in addition to multi-role strike helicopter aircrafts, we also have aerial refueling and transport aircrafts like the ILs and the unmanned aerial vehicles. Presently, it's very much into, in service. So you have all the unmanned aerial vehicles, which keeps doing. Drones have come into play. So there are a lot of things have come into play. I'll go back. This I will skip here. We'll go continue to do that at a later stage. Now coming to the Indian Navy, which takes care of the Indian Ocean, our seas, our SEZs and EEZs, economic zone, exclusive economic zone, and we have in all today presently we have got 2 aircraft carriers and also the number of destroyers, frigates, and corvettes and smaller boats. I am not going into so much of details about what kind of a role they play, but basically they protect our seas. Any intrusion to sea or any threat to our island nations, which are islands which are a part of our country, or even projecting ourselves into the Indian Ocean area, mostly into the Indian Ocean area, is the job of the role of Navy. It's basically to sea control, blockade, power projection. These are some of the items which the Navy does. It also does. It also has friendly visiting other ports, calling on other ports, show our projections and show our power to the other neighboring countries, like which are in the Indian Ocean region, mostly in the Indian Ocean region. They do go across to the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean too. And this also I'll skip later. Coming to part 2, this is the most important thing for the young generation. Why should they join the armed forces? A winner is a dreamer who never gives up. What motivates the younger generation to become an officer in the Indian Armed Forces? When I was studying my engineering, just to give my own example, when I was studying my engineering, I initially used to travel from my hometown, which is Chengalpet. So I used to travel from Chengalpet to Saidapet by train, and I used to see these young cadets of the OTA firing on near the airport. There was to be a firing range. They used to fire. I used to keep watching them. Young chaps, boys who maybe just around 20, coming and firing and going back. I said, that's a good life. Just come, fire and go back, get trained. And that motivated me to look more into the armed forces. So I started probing into it, and finally here I joined the armed forces without knowing that it's going to be a tough job, real tough job. But after having gone through the training, I realized कि इंसान से कुछ भी कर सकता है इंसान. जब आप पहले ज्वाइन करने के पहले ये नहीं पता चलता है कि क्या कर सकते हैं आप, पर जब ज्वाइन कर लेते हैं, जब पता चलता है कि आपकी बॉडी किसी तरीके का टेरेन में या डिफिकल्टीज में या जो पेन बर्दाश्त करने की ताकत है वो अपने अंदर रहती है, जो जिसको आप कभी एक्सपोज नहीं कर पाते अपने आप को, बट आर्म फोर्सेस में वो उसको एक्सपोज करा के उस तरीके का ट्रेनिंग दिया जाता है. जब आईएमए में जाते हैं, पहली बार मैंने आईएमए में गया था, सेम गोज व्हाट हैपेंस इन एनडीए, सेम गोज व्हाट हैपेंस इन ओटीए और एसीसी, व्हेरेवर यू गो. जब आप जाते हैं पहली बार तो आपको ये पता नहीं चलता है कि आपको सोने के लिए कितने घंटे मिलेंगे. 24 घंटे में आपको 3 घंटे सोने मिल गए तो बड़ी बात. पहले 1 साल में तो आपको पता भी नहीं चलता कि आप कितने घंटे सो सकते हैं. जब वक्त मिलता सो जाता है इंसान. इसलिए कि पहले दिन से, जिस दिन से आप ज्वाइन करते हैं, उस दिन से आपको सीनियर्स की तरफ से पहले भगाया जाता है, दौड़ा जाता है फिजिकली फिट करने के लिए. तो 10 किलोमीटर दौड़ के आते हैं, फिर पीटी करते हैं. पीटी करके आपके पास हार्डली कुछ टाइम रहेगा, उसके अंदर आप नहाएंगे, धोएंगे, ब्रेकफास्ट करेंगे, अपना हथियार लेके ड्रिल स्क्वायर में चले जाएंगे. फिर 1 घंटे के बाद ड्रिल होगा, ड्रिल के बाद फिर वापस आएंगे, फिर हथियार जमा करेंगे, दूसरा ड्रेस चेंज करेंगे, दूसरा हथियार निकालेंगे, आप फायरिंग एरिया में वेपन ट्रेनिंग के लिए चले जाएंगे. फिर 11 साढ़े के बाद धूप में करते हुए वापस आएंगे. You'll come, deposit the weapon, change into muftis, go to class, attend the class. come back at 2 o'clock, 1:32, have your lunch. You get a half an hour break in which you'll get punished for no rhyme and reason. And then you start doing your afternoon training. And then at 4:30, you start going for your games. You'll play games for, say, up to 6:30, come back, bathe yourself, and then sit down to read your whatever you have studied that day. And then around 8:30 to 9, in my time, we used to get half an hour to write letters to the parents. And then you go to the mess, have your food, come back, and then the punishment starts. Front roll, back roll, seniors, instructors, everybody will take their time to do it, which will continue till 12:31. So once again, when you come back at 1 and go to bed, 3 o'clock, the next day's routine starts. That's what the training is. And generally, if you tell a civilian student or a student, he will not believe it. But जब आर्मी में आप चले जाते हैं, ज्वाइन करके अंदर जाते हैं, आपको ये पता चलता है कि आपकी बॉडी हर चीज कर सकती है. जितनी भी मेहनत, जितनी भी ताकत, जितना भी लगाना है, सब लगा सकते हैं. You start doing unbelievable things, climbing ropes, jumping across the pits, and going into various weather conditions, rains में, बारिश में, बर्फ में, सब जगह घुमा देते हैं आपको ट्रेनिंग के टाइम. This happens at NDA also. This happens at IMA also till you become an officer. And as an young officer, you do that. You have to prove yourself that you are better than a soldier. You can't lag behind him. You will learn how to survive in jungles, how to survive in deserts, how to survive in winter, severest of the winter, high altitudes. And you'll know, you start eating whatever you get, you learn how to survive yourself out of that land. And the limit is, there is no limit. Everything, you do it, and suddenly after some time you look back, you will feel so proud of oneself that we have done all this, achieved this. Second, you also overcome the fear of death. You will come to know you don't believe in death at all. Yes, there is death, but you don't believe. In the sense like, you give him the task, he will do it without fearing death. You will be motivated to an extent that that's the only profession where you are leading a man to death. You are leading a man to a battlefield knowing very well he or she may not come back. But you motivate them to lead and follow you. That's the officer of the Indian Armed Forces. Whether it is the Air Force, Navy, or the Army, is one and the same. I have divided this, the joining of the Indian Armed Forces into 8 reasons. 1, personal satisfaction and pride. I mean, like, you will believe that this career gives you a self-satisfaction, and you are serving the motherland. You are creating wonders for the motherland. The enemy dare not look at our land at any time, whoever it may be. Second, professionally, you will advance. Whether you joined after 12th, by the time you come to IMA, you would have done a degree at NDA. Degree of your choice, your liking and your capability. After passing out from IMA, then you also, once again, it's not that you're only doing army, professional army, you also train for various categories. Like, you will go for a PT course, you will go for a commando course, you'll, as your career goes on, you go into platoon weapons, then if you start going into slightly higher ranks, then you will go and do a, junior command course, then you go into staff college, and so on and so forth. Till you retire, you'll be doing some kind of a course. Career-wise, you'll be building yourself. Those who join the technical arms, they have the capability to do degree course firstly in the army. Thereafter, you can go and do masters in IITs and ISC.
Brigadier, sir?
Yeah, please.
Sorry for interrupting. Many of the attendees are requesting you to speak in Hindi also.
Okay.
Hindi के साथ-साथ, yeah.
जी. जो ज्वाइन करते हैं आर्मी में, जो ज्वाइन करते हैं, उनको ये तकलीफ जो होती है पहले, वो तो बड़ी तकलीफ दिखती है. हाँ, मैंने इसके पहले भी बताया था. जितना भी आप ट्रेनिंग लेंगे, आपको खुद को पता चलेगा कि आप हर चीज आसान से कर सकते। बर्फ में रहना है या बारिश में भीगना है या जंगल में रहना है या सांप को खाना है या बिच्छू को मारना है, बैर हाथ से सब सीखते हैं आप। और डेथ से नहीं डरता। जो अपने जवान है उसको लड़ाई के अंदर लेके जाने के लिए मोटिवेट करके आप लीड करके लेके जाते हैं अंदर। तीसरा है कि आर्म फोर्सेस में आप ज्वाइन करेंगे, उसके बाद आपको पहले तो एनडीए में जब ज्वाइन करेंगे 12वीं क्लास के बाद, 12th के बाद आप वहां एनडीए में डिग्री करेंगे, फिर आईएमए में कोर्स करें, एक बेसिक मिलिट्री ट्रेनिंग का कोर्स करें 1 साल का, उसके बाद आप यूनिट में जाएंगे। यूनिट के अंदर आपको हर साल इन अ ब्रैकेट ऑफ 2 years, एवरी 2 years कुछ ना कुछ ट्रेनिंग का कोर्सेज करने का मौका मिलता रहेगा वेरियस एबिलिटीज के अंदर, वेरियस कैटेगरीज के अंदर। जो टेक्निकल आर्म में जाते हैं उन लोग पहले इंजीनियरिंग करेंगे, इंजीनियरिंग के बाद उन लोगों को मौका मिलता है आईआईटीज में जाके एमटेक का मास्टर्स करने, आईआईटीज ओब्लिक आईआईसी के। प्रोफेशनली आपको compete करना पड़ता है अपने ब्रदर ऑफिसर्स के साथ जब तक आप आगे बढ़ना है। तो जैसे ही आप लेफ्टिनेंट कर्नल बनेंगे उसके बाद से आपका सिलेक्शन पूरा आधे में, जैसे जितने लेफ्टिनेंट कर्नल्स हैं उसमें 50% ही फुल कर्नल बनेंगे। कि तो इसे स्ट्रीट पिरामिड, एक ही चीज बन सकता है। प्रेस्टीज, आप जब यूनिफॉर्म बन के जाते हैं तो लोग आपको इज्जत से देखते हैं, अभी भी देखते हैं। और आजकल तनख्वाह भी अच्छी है, जिसको पैसे की जरूरत है उसको तनख्वाह भी अच्छी है, पेंशन भी अच्छा है। एडवेंचर, आप इतनी चीज सीख सकते हैं आर्मी के अंदर, पैराग्लाइडिंग से लेके, पैरा जंपिंग से लेके, हॉर्स से लेके, स्पोर्ट्स से लेके, आप नेम अ थिंग, हर चीज सीख सकते हैं, सब फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट में। आपको बाहर सिविल में ये सब सीखना है तो पेमेंट करना पड़ेगा, पैसा देना पड़ेगा। और दूसरा, आप एक बार आर्मी ज्वाइन कर लिए, आर्म फोर्सेस ज्वाइन कर लिए, आपको जो स्टार्टिंग सैलरी है एज ए लेफ्टिनेंट, महीने का 75,000 रुपये मिलता है आज के दिन में, प्लस आपकी जॉब सिक्योरिटी है। कोई आपको इतना आसान से बाहर नहीं निकाल सकता जब तक आपको आप कोई बड़ी गलती ना कर दे, बट उसके अलावा आपको कोई जॉब से नहीं निकाल सकता। आपकी जॉब सिक्योरिटी है। आपको हर किस्म का आपका अलाउंस मिलता है। जब सबमरीन में रहेंगे तो सबमरीन का अलाउंस, डाइविंग में करे जाए तो डाइविंग अलाउंस मिलेगा, और एयरक्राफ्ट का पायलट रहेंगे तो ये पायलट अलाउंस मिलेगा, हर चीज मिलता है। पोस्ट रिटायरमेंट बेनिफिट्स भी हैं आपको। पेंशन के अलावा आपको आपके रैंक और स्ट्रक्चर के हिसाब से जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटी भी मिलती है आफ्टर रिटायरमेंट ऑल्सो। आप जिंदगी भर आपका मेडिकल फ्री रहता है, बच्चों के स्कूलिंग में कंसेशन मिलता है, कैंटीन फैसिलिटीज है, मतलब सीएसडी स्टोर से आपको जो मार्केट से कम 2/3 के हिसाब से आपको हर चीज मिल जाता है, साबुन से लेके, सर्फ से लेके, आप जो मर्जी बोलिए, तेल से लेके हर चीज मिलता है कुछ चीज में। इसके अलावा आपको प्ले करने के लिए हर किस्म के, आपको आपके बच्चों को सबको खेलने के लिए, गोल्फ से लेके क्रिकेट से लेके कुछ भी, हर किस्म का जिम जो बोलो सब फैसिलिटीज है। उनकी खुद की दुनिया है, आर्म फोर्सेस की अपनी दुनिया है, दुनिया से वो बाहर नहीं निकलते, इसलिए कि उनको सिविल से कुछ लेना देना नहीं है उनको, इसलिए वो अपनी दुनिया में ही खुश रहते। उनके ऑफिस में के फंक्शंस हैं, सोसाइटल फंक्शंस हैं, हर चीज में। ट्रेनिंग में आप अच्छा ट्रेनिंग करो, हर किस्म का मैं आपने कवर किया था, जैसा माउंटेन एडवेंचर स्पोर्ट्स, माउंटेन क्लाइंबिंग, डीप सी डाइविंग, फ्लाइंग, you can imagine a lot of things and you will be doing all unimaginable things because which others cannot do. तीसरा है कि आप जब अपने शोल्डर पे जो रैंक का स्टार्स पहनते, you feel proud. First you feel proud that you are wearing an India on your shoulders and you are responsible for the country. आप कहीं भी चले जाए, आप ट्रेन में भी सफर करते रहेंगे, कोई बदमाश या कुछ कर रहा है, बाकी लोग चुप बैठ रहेंगे, बट फौजी चुप नहीं बैठेगा, वो सीधा जाके उसको सुधार के उसके बाद ही अपना दूसरा कार्रवाई कर। हर जगह अपने से एक्सेल करने की कोशिश करते रहते हैं। ये नहीं कि यार दूसरा कर रहा मैं क्यों करूं, ऐसा नहीं होता। बिकॉज आपके पास जो काम कर रहे हैं, आपके जवान जो आपके नीचे हैं, आपको लीड करते हुए देखना पसंद करते हैं। सो यू डोंट वांट टू डिसअपॉइंट हिम। I have served in Siachen, I've served in JNK, I've served in in a foreign, plus deserts, riverine area, Arunachal mein. So you serve in different types of terrain. Wherever you serve, you have a proud and feeling of serving for the country. Now coming to the different commission. इसमें किसी को doubt है तो बाद में पूछ लीजिएगा. I'm not going to the details of various. Now I'll go into the various type of entries. आज के बच्चे जो career के लिए आर्मी के अंदर, I don't want to motivate them to join. Firstly, join as soldiers. Let them first try to join as officers. There are different types of entries in the Indian office. I'll cover all the three. Indian Army के लिए आप ex NDA और ex ACC से आप IMA जाएंगे. पहले NDA में ज्वाइन करते लोग. जो NDA एंट्री है 10th पास 12th पास करके एक कंबाइंड डिफेंस सर्विसेज का एंट्रेंस एग्जाम होता है. वहां ज्वाइन कर. इसके पहले there are two types of entries which also leads you to join the armed forces. One, RIMC बोलते 7th क्लास में राष्ट्रीय मिलिट्री एकेडमी बोल के एक है. RIMC इंडियन मिलिट्री एकेडमी बोल के देहरादून में 7th के बाद आप वहां ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं. वो प्योरली आर्मी का ट्रेनिंग होता है प्लस एजुकेशन होता है. जो वहां से ज्वाइन करता है 99% ऑफ द पीपल ज्वाइन द आर्म फोर्सेस. दूसरी है उसके बाद सैनिक स्कूल है. वो क्लास 6 के बाद से सैनिक स्कूल में आप ज्वाइन कर सकते. दैट इज फॉर क्लास 6 टू क्लास 12. प्लस क्लास 12 के बाद आप एनडीए ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं. देयर आर टू टाइप ऑफ एंट्रीज. वन इज एनडीए कंबाइंड डिफेंस सर्विसेज एग्जाम देके पास करके इंटरव्यू देके पास करके मेरिट में जो आते हैं वो एनडीए में ज्वाइन करते हैं. वहां से एनडीए के बाद उसमें भी 3 लेवल का, एक आर्मी का अलग हो जाता है. थोड़े दिन के बाद नेवी अलग हो जाता है. एयरफोर्स अपना अलग एकेडमी है. इसके अलावा 12th के बाद अब एक टेक्निकल एंट्री स्कीम है जिसमें आप 70% एग्रीगेट मार्क ले रहे डायरेक्टली अप्लाई कर सकते हैं. आप टीएस एंट्री बोल के आर्मी में ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं जिसमें आपको 5 साल की ट्रेनिंग होगी. 3 साल पहले बेसिक ट्रेनिंग प्लस इंजीनियरिंग क्लासेस चलेंगे, प्लस उसके बाद 2 साल का आपका डिग्री कोर्स चलेगा. वो डिग्री कोर्स पास करके 6 साल के बाद आप ऑफिसर बन के बाहर निकलते हैं, बट एज एन इंजीनियरिंग ऑफिसर. ये तो 12th लेवल तक. इसके अलावा आप जब ग्रेजुएट बन जाते हैं, ग्रेजुएट के बाद लोग डायरेक्ट वैसा ही एक सीजीएस कंबाइंड डिफेंस सर्विस एग्जाम दे के डायरेक्टली आईएमए में, एनडीए में नहीं जाके डायरेक्टली आईएमए में 1 साल के लिए ट्रेनिंग जाना है. जो एनडीए ज्वाइन करते हैं वो भी आईएमए में आना ही पड़ेगा 3 साल के बाद. आईएमए के बाद ही उन लोग ऑफिसर बनते हैं. सिमिलरली जो डायरेक्ट एंट्री है आईएमए में 1.5 साल ट्रेनिंग करते हैं. 1.5 साल ट्रेनिंग के बाद लोग ऑफिसर बनते हैं, पास आउट होकर ऑफिसर बनते हैं. इसके अलावा जो इंजीनियरिंग करते हैं उनको भी 4th ईयर 5th ईयर में भी कॉलेज में आके रिक्रूटमेंट होता है. उसके अलावा जो पास करे बाद भी आप अप्लाई करके डायरेक्टली एसएसबी देके आप बिना एग्जाम का एसएसबी देके एसएसबी के बाद आर्मी ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं. जो आजकल अभी लेडी कैडेट्स को भी एनडीए में लिया जा रहा है. इसके अलावा एक शॉर्ट सर्विस कमीशन है जिसके अंदर आप डिग्री करे बाद 1 साल ट्रेनिंग के लिए बोथ फॉर मेल एंड फीमेल कैडेट्स के लिए ट्रेनिंग होता है. वो 1 साल के बाद उन लोग शॉर्ट सर्विस कमीशन में ज्वाइन हो सकते हैं इंडियन आर्मी. उसके अंदर आपको कम से कम मिनिमम 14 साल, 5 साल के बाद भी आप क्विट कर सकते हैं बट बेस्ड ऑन, और 10 साल के बाद या 14 साल तक नौकरी कर सकते हैं. चाहिए तो उसके बाद आप सिलेक्शन हो गए तक परमानेंट कमीशन भी मिल सकता है आप लोगों को. इसके अलावा जो बच्चा जो 10th के बाद आर्मी में, 12th के बाद आर्मी में ऐसा सोल्जर ज्वाइन करता है, उनको 5 साल आर्मी में सोल्जरिंग करे बाद उनको एक एंट्री है एसीसी एंट्री बोल के, आर्मी कैडेट कॉलेज. वो भी एक एग्जाम देके एसएसबी में सेलेक्ट हुए बाद आर्मी कैडेट कॉलेज में 3 साल का ट्रेनिंग करके फिर 1 साल के लिए आईएमए में ट्रेनिंग करके फिर बाहर आ सकते. एज एन ऑफिसर ही कैन कम आउट. I've already covered all this, whatever I've given in this slide. Basically, regular course, regular US entry, NDA, सब बता दिया था. Indian Navy के अंदर, Indian Navy में भी सेम कैडेट एंट्री बेसिकली एग्जाम देके सर्विस के बाद 10 और 12वीं क्लास के बाद उन लोग ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं। और एनसीसी का भी है, एनसीसी स्पेशल एंट्री आर्मी में भी है, नेवी में भी है, एयरफोर्स में भी है। ग्रेजुएट स्पेशल एंट्री एक है, सिमिलरली लाइक आर्मी में जैसे जाते हैं वैसा नेवी में भी जा सकते हैं। लॉ कैडर आर्मी में भी है, नेवी में भी है, एयरफोर्स में भी है। कुछ स्पेशलाइज कैडर जो नेवल आर्मोमेंट इंस्पेक्शन कैडर बोल के वो ओनली फॉर इंजीनियर्स के लिए है। इंजीनियरिंग ग्रेजुएट्स के लिए डायरेक्ट एंट्री जैसा आर्मी में है, सिमिलरली 12th के बाद एग्जाम पास करके दे कैन ऑल्सो ज्वाइन दी नेवी टू डू इंजीनियरिंग एंड बिकम एन ऑफिसर। यूनिटरी एंट्री स्कीम जैसा मैंने बोला था, कंबाइंड एग्जाम देके डिग्री के बाद इन लोग भी ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं, जिसमें अब नॉर्मल डिग्री प्लस इंजीनियरिंग डिग्री के बाद। लॉ कैडर बता दिया था, जो बेसिकली लॉ पढ़े उस बच्चों के लिए है। इसके अलावा जो मेडिकल है, मेडिकल के लिए भी अलग है। जो मेडिकल में डायरेक्टली जाना है तो एएफएमसी में जाके आप 5 साल का मेडिकल कोर्स करके फिर आर्मी में आ सकते हैं, या जो मेडिकल ऑलरेडी मेडिकल किए हुए हैं स्टूडेंट्स, उनको भी ज्वाइन करने का मौका मिलता है एज ए शॉर्ट सर्विस एंड दे कैन ज्वाइन द आर्मी डायरेक्टली एज ए मेडिकल ऑफिसर। इसके अंदर आर्मी में क्या है, आईएमए के बाद आपको वेरियस आर्म्स एंड सर्विसेज में आपका सिलेक्शन होता है। आप जिस तरीके से आईएमए में द वे यू परफॉर्म इन आईएमए, then based on your choice, either you'll get infantry, armored corps, artillery, whatever it is, or you will go into services like ordnance, yeah, army service corps or EME, or engineering graduates go to technical arms like corps of engineer, corps of EME, or signals. Whereas navy में they've got separate branches for this, उसको direct entry हो जाता है। Logistic cadre बोलते हैं, accounts cadre बोलते हैं उन लोग, so that will get entered. There are various kind of entries which is applicable. Indian Air Force is similar. Indian Air Force has got 3-4 types, basic types. One, flying. That's called the flying branch. It's one who flies the aircrafts. Ground duty is the one who manages all the ground, the airfields, managing all the technical equipments at the ground level, and then they have technical arm which maintains the aircraft. Unless until the technical officer gives clearance, the pilot will not take the flight to take off. He will not take the aircraft. Then they have the administration and the accounts department, which have both the administrative work and the accounts, plus the medical. In their case also, they can also join after engineering. They can also join after post-graduation. Also, they can also join after एनसीसी सी सर्टिफिकेट के बाद, और डिग्री करके, नॉर्मल डिग्री करके या इंजीनियरिंग डिग्री करके भी एयरफोर्स में आप ज्वाइन कर सकते। डिपेंडिंग अपॉन विच टाइप ऑफ एंट्री दैट यू ज्वाइन, यू विल गो इनटू दैट पर्टिकुलर फील्ड ओनली। आप पायलट के लिए सेलेक्ट हो रहे, फ्लाइंग में सेलेक्ट हो रहे तो आप पायलट में ही जाएंगे। नेवी में भी वैसा ही है, आप एग्जीक्यूटिव ब्रांच में जाएंगे तो एग्जीक्यूटिव ब्रांच में ही रहेंगे। टेक्निकल आर्म चैप कैन नॉट बिकम अ captain of the ship. I thought I have covered most of the way the career is, a little bit on the introduction of the Indian Armed Forces. I am now ready to take on any questions, anything that somebody wants to ask, because I want to leave the questions to be asked. Then I'll know what interest is there, which I can answer them.
Thank you, Brigadier Nyamathullah Saab. I think that was really motivating, and you have really given a very good insight. It was really, amazing. And while you were talking, I just remembered one of the, beautiful share, जो कहते हैं ना, like when I was going through your slides about Air Force and all, तो एकदम ये शेर याद आ गया, खुदी को कर बुलंद इतना, खुदी को कर बुलंद इतना कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से खुद पूछे बता तेरी रजा क्या है. I think that's really very inspiring, really very inspiring, especially the Air Force and the Navy. I think our children should really go for, these, I mean to say, these, what do you say, professionals. And one thing, that the question that had come up was कि जब चाहे एयरफोर्स हो, नेवी हो या आर्मी हो, जब ज्वाइन करते आपने बताया कि 5 years तक सर्व करें. Now, like for women के लिए, a question कि जब ये MBBS पास करके जाते हैं, तो इनको कितने साल की ट्रेनिंग मिलेगी फिर आफ्टर MBBS?
Okay. MBBS के बाद आपको, if you are joining after MBBS, they will have 6 months to 1 year basic training. That's basically to give them the armed forces, armed forces style of training. Basically to introduce them to the Army or the Navy or the Air Force. After that, they have a short service commission, which is 5 years. Or after short service commission also, they can, because the opportunities come us much better if they join the permanent commission, because then going to post-graduation, super specialization, I mean, name a thing, is available in the Indian Army, in the medical corps. So it's better to, 5 years is the minimum that they will have to serve. Now they have increased it to 10 years. But however, after 5 years, somebody can quit if you want to quit.
Thank you. Sir, और एक सवाल है, when they join, especially Air Force, what is the criteria ये लोग देखते हैं? Like, pilot के लिए जब जाते हैं, तो ये लोग training लेते हैं, it will be of free of cost, या कितना student को, they have to bear?
No student, sorry for interfering, no student, nobody will have to pay even a penny. If he is selected, whether he is selected in the Army or the Navy or the Air Force, the entire training cost is borne by the government of India. And in the Air Force, in case somebody wants to join as a pilot, he has to be, in addition to smart, whatever the merit that he has to come, his physically fitness has to be, medically he has to be fit, plus his eyesight has to be 6/6. It can't be more than that. Whereas in the Army, Navy, there is a relaxation in the Army, the eyesight. But if you want to join as a pilot, whether it's a fighting pilot, fighter pilot, or a helicopter pilot, you have to be 6/6.
Sir, there is a question, I think it was in the slide, but there's a question that has come out saying that, what is the age limit for NDA exam?
NDA, I had given in the, I'll just show them the back then.
Sure, thank you, sir. I hope you got the answer, the one who had asked for it. Sir, और एक सवाल है, ये कहते हैं कि मैं Air Force कैसे join कर सकती हूँ after 12th class?
After 12th class, अभी नया NDA एंट्री आया है, जिसके अंदर आप एंटर कर सकते हैं. उसके जो डिटेल्स जो है अभी रिसेंटली निकला है ये, तो उसके डिटेल्स आए नहीं है. However, जो इस क्वेश्चन का जो भी है, अब एयरफोर्स, स्पेशली ऑफ एयरफोर्स, I will let you know whether they can join after 12th, whereas most of the thing that I have seen for ladies is graduation, after graduation.
जी.
ग्रेजुएशन है. अब जो एनडीए एंट्री दिया है, अभी पहले तो जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑर्डर के हिसाब से जो ज्वाइन करने के लिए बोला है एनडीए के अंदर, वैसा एयरफोर्स एकेडमी भी होना चाहिए. That will remain once again, it will be age limit, it will be 16.5 to 19.5. There won't be any difference in it. इसके अंदर एयरफोर्स के अंदर आप जब देखेंगे सेम है, उनके लिए भी, लेडीज के लिए भी सेम है.
जी सर, और एक सवाल है, पूछते हैं कि आप थोड़े सजेस्ट करिए टिप्स फॉर एसएसबी इंटरव्यू एंड ओवरऑल इंटरव्यू, कैसा माइंडसेट होता है व्हाइल इंटरव्यूइंग?
अच्छा, एसएसबी इंटरव्यू एग्जाम का तो मैं बोल नहीं सकता, बिकॉज एग्जाम इज प्योर रिटन एग्जाम. एसएसबी में ऐसा है, एसएसबी आप एक बार मेरिट में आते हैं, देन यू आर कॉल्ड फॉर द एसएसबी सर्विस सिलेक्शन बोर्ड. Depending upon whether they are going for an Army, Navy, or Air Force, the type of selection will a little akin to their arm. Whereas Army के अंदर मैं ये बोल सकता हूँ कि जैसा भी Army के अंदर 4 या 5 दिन का SSB election होता है, इंटरव्यू होता है. पहला दिन, first day is always, whether it is all the 3 services, it is the psychological test. They will test you for your psychological aptitude, whether you are fit to join the armed forces. They'll show you some picture, they'll show you some kind of a event, they will show you they will make you read one story, they'll ask you some questions based on that. And what is the type of person you are? Are you a team man? Are you for the nation? Or do you have any kind of a different kind of attitude among yourself? Are you a rebellion? They'll try and find out all this, because this is how the selection is done. First is psychological test. Then they will have a group discussion. Individual will be given a group. In the group, you'll have to discuss on a particular subject. You will be given a topic to think. You will be given 5 minutes to think over and deliver the lecture for 2 to 3 minutes and answer questions for next 2 to 3 minutes. Then you will be checked up for your physical ability. You will be made to run a small distance of 2 kilometers or so. Then you will be made to climb a rope, cross a ditch, and some obstacle course that you have to do individually as well as collectively. In the collective obstacle course, they will see कि ये देखेंगे कि आप लीड कर रहे हैं, आप ग्रुप को साथ लेके जा रहे हैं, या आप फॉलो कर रहे हैं. पहले ये देखा जाएगा. जो ऑब्स्टिकल कोर्स है जिसमें एक आदमी नहीं कर सकता, 4-5 आदमी मिलके करना है उसको, तब जाके आप वो ऑब्स्टिकल को क्रॉस कर सकते हैं. उसके अंदर देखा जाएगा व्हाट इज योर कैपेबिलिटी. इसके बाद आपको ये सब पूरा हो जाएगा. उसके बाद देन यू विल हैव अ presentation to be, you will be asked to make a presentation on a given topic. Then you will have an interview on the board interview. बोल के last day में एक board interview होता है. If you get selected in all this, then you'll go for your medical. Medically, you have to be fit. You can't have anything except for, I said, for a pilot, eyesight had to be 6/6, whereas for others, slightly relaxation is there. Minimum height, minimum weight, all this will be seen. Because I can guide people for SSB interview, that's not a problem, but it can't be done in this kind of a small lecture topic. It requires a lot of interaction with the individuals concerned.
I think sir, physical fitness की भी इनको तैयारी करनी होती होगी ना, क्योंकि जब rope climbing है and hurdles and so they should be physically fit before they go for this interview, I think, है ना?
Yes, yes, ma'am. You have to be physically fit in the sense like you don't have to be that kind of a superhero. But a normal, एक 10-12 feet का rope को आप पकड़ के ऊपर चढ़ सकते हैं. That's what they want to see, whether you have the capability to climb a little. 6 या 7 feet का जो ditch होता है उसको jump करके दौड़ के jump करके cross कर सकते हैं. और push-ups, sit-ups आप कर सकते हैं. और basically 2 kilometer एक particular time के अंदर दौड़ सकते हैं. These are the basic things they see because they want to know whether he or she can be trained later. That's what they're looking for.
जी. Sir, और एक सवाल है, please sir, first attempt में how to crack NDA exam?
Oh, it's not an easy question to answer because first attempt में crack करना है तो you'll have to go through the subjects. See, NDA entrance exam is nothing but a GK, a little of GK, general knowledge, your subjects. Basically, your English, your subjects on your subject like maths, physics, chemistry, or whatever, social science, whatever you have. These are basic questions that will be asked. It is not a tough exam to crack, but students who are brilliant enough, they do crack. It's very, I'll say that 90% of the people who work, little put in around 6 to 8 months of, hard work will be able to crack it easily.
सवाल है, I think it was already, told in the slide, लेकिन फिर पूछते हैं कि how to join in army as an engineer who has NCC B certificate.
No, if you are an engineer, NCC B certificate is of no use. NCC C certificate is only of some use. But if you are an engineer, you can join while studying itself. जब आप पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं, 4th year में भी आपको आप ऑनलाइन में देखते रहेंगे तो आप अप्लाई करेंगे उस पे तो कैंपस इंटरव्यू आता है, कैंपस में आके सेलेक्ट करते हैं. 4th एंड हमारे टाइम पे 4th और 5th था, अभी 3rd and 4th ईयर, वो 4th ईयर में आते हैं, जनरली 4th ईयर में आके सेलेक्ट करते हैं. इन एडिशन there will be entry scheme, advertisement keeps coming in the paper, in the on net. You can see that and apply on it. For engineers who have completed 4th year engineering are passing out that year, he does not have to sit for an exam. He has to just go for SSB, get selected. That's all. There's no written exam for engineers.
सर और काफी सवालात है एंड
कोई
देन
नहीं, कोई नहीं.
कुछ टिप्स फॉर एनडीए के लिए एंड एनी सजेस्टेड बुक्स आप सजेस्ट करते हैं क्या टू गो थ्रू सम सर्टेन बुक्स फॉर एनडीए.
I will advise कि आप देखिए, आप ना ऑनलाइन में आप जाएंगे, मैं ये नहीं बोलूंगा कि यही पर्टिकुलर किताब लेके पढ़ो, यही किताब पढ़ो. इसका गाइड करना है तो जिसको भी जो इंटरेस्ट है वो डायरेक्टली मुझे अप्रोच कर सकते हैं. मेरा ईमेल आईडी मैंने दिया हूँ मैंने. I will answer them all their queries on that. But if they go through on the online, there are number of academies which are training now. The number of them have come up to train them. But I will say, do not go by paying somebody to get trained. No. I will say, I'll advise is just go through, see the sample questions. Even the armed forces, the previous year's questions are put up on the net. At least the questions, the type of questions that are asked is put up on the net by the Army, Air Force and Navy. You can go through that. Plus sample questions आते हैं जिसके अंदर वो देख सकते हैं. और बेसिक आप अपना नॉलेज, जनरल नॉलेज रखेंगे तो easily you will clear. If you are strong in your basic studies and the GK, डे टू डे एक्टिविटी जो आप हर रोज थोड़ा बहुत अखबार, थोड़ा बहुत आप देखते रहे जो क्या हो रहा है दुनिया के अंदर, इंडिया के अंदर क्या हो रहा है, प्लस अपना सब्जेक्ट, बेसिक सब्जेक्ट पास करें, आप आराम से क्लियर कर सकते हैं.
जी सर, सईद का सवाल है कि यूजुअली कॉमर्स कैंडिडेट डिफेंस सर्विस में कितनी हद तक जा सकते हैं कि बिकॉज ही फील्स दैट कि commerce background are really selected in defense services. So is this correct or only accounts is suitable for them?
No. Any there is no separate called as commerce or accounts in Indian Army. Like in the Air Force and the Navy, you have the accounts department separately. Accounts as this thing where you can go with accounting knowledge and whatever degree that you have done. In the Army, it's basically you have to, if you are a commerce degree holder, you cannot join. Only difference is if you are as a degree holder, you can enter the combined defense services exam. And the only difference is you cannot join a technical arm. Other than the technical arm, you can join any arm, which includes the fighting arms like infantry, armored corps, or artillery, or the mechanized infantry. Plus, you can also join the services like Army Service Corps, Army Ordnance Corps. All this you can join. That is the difference. There is no, like based on his basic knowledge, then he'll get through.
Brigadier sir, there's another one, like, what is there actually a difference between joining Army through NDA and the C certificate?
A C certificate holder will join directly the armed force. Either he can join the SS category, that is the short service commission wala, which is that OTA in Chennai, or he can join the IMA as a direct entry. He gets the benefit of joining the direct entry. Whereas a C certificate does not have this thing to join the NDA. NDA, like if you ask me, NDA if you want to compare it, let me be frank with you, if you want to compare it, the cream of the Indian Army comes from RIMC, because they joined the army as 7th standard onwards. The second one, NDA takes the cake. Then comes the direct entry. Technical arms are basically technical arms, they only take care of the technical arms. So the cream is RIMC, that's very few, 70 odd seats, whereas NDA takes the cake. And they join the army at a very young age, and age becomes a big issue when you come to at a later stage. When you come to my age as a brigadier, since I joined army after engineering, and that too after serving in for some time in the campus entry, I got selected for L&T. Then I joined, but even though I was a late entry to the army, so when it came to my promotions, my board was not even held when I went from brigadier to major general. I had to retire. Age becomes a big factor. Whereas NDA, like I retired at 56, NDA would have joined and he would have, he'll get I card commissioned at 24, whereas NDA got commissioned at 20. 20 साल में कमीशन होता है, 4 साल सीनियर बन जाता हूँ हमारे से.
जी, and sir, second last question है ये कि without NDA क्या एयरफोर्स ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं?
नहीं, एयरफोर्स का डायरेक्ट है ना, डायरेक्ट एंट्री है एयरफोर्स के अंदर। एनडीए में जाना की जरूरी नहीं है, आप डिग्री पास करके डायरेक्ट जा सकते हैं। आपको 10+2 एंट्री भी है एयरफोर्स के अंदर, हर चीज है।
Yeah, sir, I think the last question from Asta Shetty. कहते हैं sir, to speak more about Air Force, क्या आप अपना contact number दे सकते हैं? I think, sir, we should really have an offline session. I think, all the
Yeah,
young boys and
yeah,
girls get
yeah. People
motivated.
can, other than phone number, I would advise them to write a mail to me. And if they're really keen and interested, then I can give my phone number.
Yes,
I don't
आपका
want to give my phone number, but
yes, sir. जी.
yeah, no problems.
Yeah, you can just
Even from your side, if you want somebody to be coached for SSB, I'm ready to do that.
yes, sir. Please, if you could just put your email in the chat box so that everyone could make a note of it. जी.
जी. आप अपने from AMP side also, you can also coach people for SSB, because today we as Muslims are very few.
Yes, yes.
Unfortunately, I was the only Muslim officer who retired as a brigadier in my arm. You will find very few Muslim officers going beyond the rank of a colonel. You will गिनती में कर सकते हैं। मेजर जनरल 1, ब्रिगेडियर 2 होंगे। आर्मी कमांडर तो कभी जिंदगी में 1 या 2, 10 साल में 1 निकलते हैं। हमारे में है ही नहीं, इसलिए कि हम लोग इंटरेस्ट भी नहीं बताते। प्रॉब्लम इज आई हैव सीन आवर ओन ब्रदर ऑफिसर्स नॉट शोइंग इंटरेस्ट. If you show interest, yes, you will go up. Like I've been when I got selected as a MA or a military advisor or a defense advisor, I fought. I was selected among the almost around 800 colonels. Among the 800 colonels, I was the one who got selected for one appointment. So you have to do well within the armed forces.
Gee. And I think, sir, we should keep an awareness session with you also, so that they get not only they get motivated, but awareness will I think boost them, and that the
Surely.
knowledge they have. So then I think they can opt for these careers.
Surely.
Profession.
Yep.
Gee. Yeah. And for the last, any more, sir? मैं Air Force में pilot बनना चाहती हूँ. So what can I do? 12 के बाद.
All the best. नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है कि आप देखिए, आप किसी को भी ज्वाइन करना है ना, आप पहले मोटिवेट हो जाइए, जिसके अंदर आप let me stop the sharing of the screen, it's obstructing me. Yeah. So what I want to say is, anybody who wants to join whether she or he, they have to go through the basic. Let them write to me directly. I will guide them how to go about, how to get prepare themselves, and they can join. A number of girls have joined armed forces, except for very few Muslims. I had a lot of Muslim girls in my arm. 2 of them served under me also, but Muslim girls. Whereas in the army or the air force, the air force and the navy, I found very little, because people don't want to come. We still have that set back-minded kind of an attitude. They don't approach me, I'll help them out, please.
जी. Thanks for the insight, and बहुत शुक्रिया ब्रिगेडियर नेमतुल्लाह शबीर अहमद साहब आपका, and आपने इतना अपना कीमती वक्त हमें दिया और आप जो नॉलेज से नवाजे हैं, I think is really very useful, and it was very informative session, I must say. It has definitely inspired lot of, इसीलिए बहुत सारे सवालात आए हैं, and I think AMP को मैं भी request करती हूँ कि we should have an offline, so that it will be a wonderful session where face to face कई चीजें
Yes. Because in the web webinar, it's very difficult to explain a lot of other things. When you face to face and ask questions, ask a lot of things, I can, you can give it whatever they want, we can do that. There's no problem.
So once
let me just say here, Assalamu alaikum, Shabeer bhai. Shabeer bhai is 8 years my senior. I met him a couple of years back in our alumni association, and I have been very impressed by the way he explains things. So thank you firstly for accepting our invitation and spending your time here. The offline जो बात कर रहे हैं ना, so I will write down your name for an offline session because we are going to do offline sessions at schools this month and next month and see if we can use you there. We can do the same at CEG also. By the way, most people don't know what is CEG. Many people tell me that I use every possible opportunity to talk about CEG. CEG is only the 7th oldest technical institution in the world. It is 230 years almost now, and our main building is over 100 years. So for me, Shabeer Bhai is one of the role models. So for just to say about the offline, we will inshallah be doing offline the career awareness and career guidance forums as well. This is meant to be a national career awareness where we try to get people of a very high standing, because if we get people like Shabeer Bhai, we want that to be recorded, and this will be available online forever. And many of our students, for example, right now it's also being live streamed on Facebook. So many students prefer to watch that on Facebook as well, and many come and watch at their own time. So we wanted the reach to be very high, and for that we select people from a very high standing for these. But offline is also going to be done during the months of June and July, and we are doing that across the country. We have our focus is to do it. We have announced that we will do it 200 districts, but our reach is over 550 of the 700 districts in India. So inshallah, we hope to do it on all the districts. By the way, my name is Khalil. Ms. Talha, sorry for interrupting. You can take over.
Yeah, thank you, Khalil Ahmed साहब. आपने सबकी गुजारिश को आपने honor किया कि that arranging for an offline, and that will be very nice and kind of AMP. और चलते चलते एक सईद अक़दस है सर, ब्रिगेडियर साहब जो कहते हैं कि अल्लाह रब्बुल इज़्ज़त हजरत ब्रिगेडियर साहब को उम्र दराज करें और आपके जो भी है सही में जो आप रहबरी कर रहे हैं हम नौजवानों के लिए और तरक्की पर मतलब उम्मत और मुल्क की खिदमत कर सके. I think you'll be a guiding light for them. That's what very good words from him to you, sir.
Thank you so much. शुक्रिया
जी
so much.
सर आपका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया तहे दिल से आप आए यहाँ पर, and I wish everyone the very best. बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. अस्सलाम वालेकुम. And
before we wind up, a little announcement, for tomorrow's session, that tomorrow kal careers in law and judiciary रहेगा और speaker जनाब मोहम्मद रफीक साहब रहेंगे, and techno legal, like जो भी technical management areas है, तो वो काफी 2 decades यानी 20 साल के करीब वो उस पे काम कर चुके हैं. तो उम्मीद रखते हैं कि कल आप सब यहाँ पर फिर ज्वाइन करें.
And once again, I thank all the members, AMB से लेकर जो भी हमारे जो students है, and others faculty जो join किए हैं, and सबका शुक्रिया अदा करती हूँ. And lastly, once again, Brigadier साहब का भी जो really it was very inspiring section. बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया.